If you could just introduce yourself and how you knew Jimmy, and then just go into whatever you want to say.
Yeah, okay. Hi, I'm Amy Estrada. I've lived in Alameda for 52 years, and I met Jimmy Lyons through Mary Rudge over 15 years ago. And I just assumed, he's a poet. But the more I got to know him, I realized that I have to clarify my description of him. He's actually a jazz poet, a songwriter, a performer, and a creative artist. So I really believe that poets who congregate, who are in a group of community, nurture each other's spirit. I do recall Mary and Jimmy doing a poetic performance in a Oakland cafe. I think it's no longer there, but they did. And also, they help each other out. Jimmy helped Mary when she was writing her book for Ireland. He took care of the photographic art, which is a photo collage for the cover. And also, Jimmy was very much involved in a lot of things going on in Alameda. One of the things being the Natika Angeles poetic dance theater. He got involved in that, and he contributed a poem song called Night Music from his album Night Music. So, and that was choreographed, music and dance, and it was shown in 5 continents. So he liked to say that, all my poem, all my work went round and round through various art forms. Like Mary, Jimmy is a pure artist. His number one priority is his art. And he is a prolific writer. One of the things he showed me one time is one of his many books on poetry, songwriting. They had 500 songs. Would you believe 500 songs in that just one book? And I'd like to share with you one of the poems on that book that I really liked. It's called The Beautiful Loser. The beautiful loser who dare to dream, chase their tomorrows while the clowns laugh and scream. The beautiful losers who followed the sun and looked for the rainbow where there was none. Illusions on users of fabric of dreams whose always tomorrows were not what they seemed. The beautiful losers are never undone. They will look for the rainbows until there is one. That was such a positive poem that I really liked so much. Jimmy lived for many years in New York City. I think not just the city, but in New York, the state of New York. 20 years ago, he moved to Alameda, the Bay Area, and most of that time he lived in Alameda. I've heard of a lot of Alamedans talking about him, what he was performing at Kelly's. The musicians there know a lot about him. And Jimmy has also performed in North Beach, San Francisco, in some cafes there. The name it skips my mind, but it's some kind of corner. He has performed in Santa Cruz festivals, Napa Valley festivals, and many other poetic and musical events. While he was in New York, Jimmy mentioned performing at New York City's Greenwich Village, the famous, interacting with other songwriters like Bob Dylan, Tim Hardin, Peter, Paul, and Mary. Also performed in cafes like the Cafe Bitter End. He interacted with jazz musicians who played in the New York, Manhattan, such places as the Half Note, Village Vanguard. Jimmy states that I write wherever my journey leads me. Except usually the journey leads him to plots, to characters, to scenes in his life and his mind. His work can go right into plays, into films, expressed sometimes as poetry, as drama, but oftentimes as songs. His songs have been integrated into film, documentary called The Riddle, another one called Coventry Road. Jimmy has also collaborated with jazz musicians when he wrote a musical called Eclipse of the Blues. Jimmy was always constantly attempting to write, to explore, to expand his poetry, rhythm, and sound. To me, he's a great songwriter, a great creative artist, a great poet. We will miss him. We have just lost a significant voice, a powerful voice in the world of poetry, music, and creative arts.
How many years did you know him?
As I said, 15 years.
15,
because
wow.
because I met him through Mary Raj. Yeah.
And what do you think? Do you think he was more of an artist than a musician?
I think because in the 60s, it seemed like music has sometimes been more powerful in expressing emotions. That's probably why he opted to have the music. And I think he has a gift from music. That's why, the reason why I'm saying this is because I'm a musician too. When I was younger, I got the opposite end of it. I realized that music, when you're involved in music, playing music, you know, it's so much practice involved, and you play the wrong note and it's forever gone. But if you're involved in the lyrics of music, it will be immortalized. So he got the best of both worlds. He immortalized his work, and he had the music. Music is very soothing. As they say, music is the universal language of love. And I think it's such a powerful tool. Nowadays, everybody's have their own, I think in the explosion of the 1960s, when we had all this great music, I'm a fan of Bob Dylan and Peter, Paul and Mary and all the others who were great. I like music, but eventually I like poetry too, because it gives me on the more serious side of it. Not that music is not serious, but I'm able to immortalize my own journey. And that's what he did. His own journey, he tried to immortalize through his songs.
How many years of Jimmy's life did he spend in Alameda?
About 20 years. Maybe less, because he could have stayed in Oakland before he got a place in Alameda, but I think at least 20 years. He has been here for 2 decades. Yeah.
And then did he have family that lived here too?
He has a brother, but I think he's not from here. And you know, poets, they create their own families to the spirit of poetry that they find in other people, and that becomes sometimes more their family than the family that is distant. They feel a sense of family, a sense of closeness, a sense of camaraderie, and they're forever friends when they meet somebody like that. And I think, I really believe there's something about poets that understand people's condition, human condition, that no other people can do. I remember Mary Raj was telling me before that there was this person who had a mental health issue and couldn't connect to people. But this person was able to connect to the poets because they accepted him the way they are. They let him grow when he wrote poetry and everything. So in so many ways, poetry has a healing element to it, not only because of the words and the music, but also because people who are poets are more empathic, and they are more loving, more caring people.